We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
and I'm Jill DeWitt, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode 2224. Today, Jill and I are talking about how to rethink everything. Our 2025 strategies for smarter mailers, markets, and your mindset.
This is important. We're halfway through the year, and by now in your land business, you've got some things that are working and some things that may have changed, and you may be struggling a little bit. And that's what I want to talk about with you this week.
Our team at Land Academy has taken a time to really express to us what the questions and the things that are on our constituency's mind, our Land Academy members' minds.
Right.
And so they put these topics together and asked us to spend the entire week on it. Today's Monday, and we talked about what the episode title is there. On Tuesday, we're calling it, Is Your 2024 Playbook Broken? Fix Your Mail, Market, and Mindset for 2025. My notes on that are, how to adjust it for this year, some real world advice on how Jill and I have adjusted it. On Wednesday, from stale to scalable, 2025's new rules for land mailers and market moves. So my notes on that are how to take advantage of it. Some stuff is changing. Change historically, as I'll describe all throughout this week, has done Jill and I very well. Change is hard in the beginning and very profitable for us at the middle and the end. So you have to embrace it. On Thursday, mail smarter and think bigger. This is a huge key. Jill's been saying it forever. Add some zeros to what you're purchasing and reselling. The 2025 investor reset you didn't know you needed. Reset your mind is what I'm going to talk about. She's going to talk about adding zeros. And then on Friday, mindset shift for 2025. The old ways of investing, quite simply, won't work anymore. I'll describe those throughout the week because I've been through all of them personally. I've been through the last one with Jill. So we'll recap on that and show examples of how some stuff sucked and we made lemonade out of it.
The whole point for me this week is the reason you're here. Jack's got 30 years at this full time. I have 16 and we have 10 with Land Academy.
Yeah.
So we're watching people panic a little bit. Every time there's a little something, everybody panics. We get it. This is not our first rodeo, and that's why you're here, and we can help you.
Panic is good. A little bit of upset is good.
Yeah, it shakes things up. It
Yep.
would be boring. It would be boring, and it would be boring, and I think home run deals would happen less frequently without some of this turmoil and change and upset.
So much to talk about this week. Thanks for tuning in. Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum and take a deep dive into land-related topics by your request.
Okay. Jordan wrote, "Hello, everyone. We officially closed on our first property today. Yay. While I don't want to get ahead of myself, I'm already looking ahead to the sell side of things and have a couple of questions. First, once you reach an agreement with a potential buyer, do you typically rework the same purchase agreement you used when you acquired the property? Or do you use a completely new one tailored for selling? Second, regarding closing costs, how do you usually split them when you're the seller? As buyers, we're accustomed to covering all the closing costs, but I imagine the dynamic is different when selling. Any insight you could offer would be greatly appreciated. I love to be as informed as possible, so I'm not scrambling when discussing terms with potential buyers. Thanks in advance for your help."
Number one, this is your first deal, it sounds like. First land deal anyway. Our first deal with Land Academy. A bunch of firsts. So I want you to really, truly, because mindset is a big part of this week, absorb this. You're going to screw it up. Are you going to lose money? Probably not. Is it going to be perfectly efficient? For sure not. And while many, many people, I might be sitting next to one of them, has issues with lack of perfect efficiency, I just want you to accept it. It's you have a huge community here. You started off by asking a great question. It's going to help us and you and everybody. So don't worry if you make some mistakes. Do you want to answer the first question, or would you like me to?
Well, the first thing I'd like you to do is on your next transaction, while you're getting ready to close, already getting ready to sell it. So I don't want you to close and go, now what? I want you to be pushing yourself along. So, because you had some time while you're waiting for escrow, pictures could have been taken, all that stuff could have been done. So don't worry about it. But I just want to set you up for success on the next one.
Great advice.
So,
should be one fluid thing.
Exactly. And just a system.
Yeah.
This one's getting ready to close. We need the photos. We need the description. Are we going to go with a broker? How's it going to happen? So the day you close, it's for sale. That's what I want you to strive for. That's your goal. Again, you did nothing wrong.
No, not at all.
All a learning process, but that's going to be the goal.
You did everything right.
Exactly. And to directly answer the question, the same purchase agreement with a new name on it is just fine. Just like that's all you needed. Remember to open escrow when you bought it. That's all you needed to open escrow when you sell it. So don't sweat any of that. Do you want me to go on to the next one?
Well, I'm assuming you're closing and reselling through escrow.
Mm-hmm.
So once you submit that purchase agreement to the escrow agent, here's the buyer, here's the seller, we've signed the thing, and here's the price. That kicks off that the escrow agent starts now to complete the transaction, complete the acquisition for you, and that's all they should need. Mm-hmm. They should take that purchase agreement, and you should get an escrow number within minutes.
Yep. Or days. Well, or a day. Let's just, I know theoretically, Jack's right. It could be minutes, but usually it takes them a couple hours or a day. They'll say, I'll get it to you in the morning. Fine, I can understand.
See,
that.
All these deals later, I still haven't learned.
It's okay. Now, about the closing costs, I traditionally let it unfold. Most buyers are prepared to pay, their fair share, per that market, or that industry when they buy. So I let that go. That's usually what I do. And escrow will just go, here's what the buyers usually cover, here's what the sellers usually cover, and just roll with it. I don't make any special concessions when it comes to that. But thinking ahead, again, on your next escrow, check with your title company when you open escrow on the buy side. See if there's any kind of thing you can do to set it up to save money on the sell side. That's a huge bonus for you and your buyer.
There's a closing document that you'll review before everybody signs everything. If you're old like me, you call it a HUD-1. If you're newer, you call it a closing statement. And on each side is how the prorations happen. Maybe there's tax prorations or the fees that are associated with each side of the transaction and who pays what. And then on the bottom, what the net proceeds are, the amount that you have to write the check for or wire the money. And then on the other side, the net proceeds to the seller.
Perfect.
It's all very automatic and consistent if you close with escrow. Mm-hmm. And then you go on to say, any insights you can offer would be greatly appreciated. I'd love to be informed as much as possible for not scrambling. Jill nailed it. Next time, just make sure it's kind of one fluid transaction because all throughout the acquisition process, you should be thinking about the sales process directly in your decision making. Can I sell this thing fast? How much can I sell it for? Who's going to buy it? Do I have a real estate agent ready to go that's really knows the local market way, way better than I do, so they can liquidate it? The real estate agent in the perfect world should be saying things like, oh my gosh, I really believe we can sell this quickly. Mm-hmm. I only need these few things from you. It sounds like you bought it for a great price. Let me know when I can get my photographer out there, my drone person out there, or maybe he or she's going to make you responsible for that as the now seller of the property. Just get all that stuff lined up before you buy it. Yep.
I have funny stories of brokers calling me going, can I do it now? I'm like, stop it. It's not, just give me a day. I don't own it yet. It's kind of fun. They're like, can I do it now? Can I do it now? I'm like, hold on. And then I call them like Friday morning. I'm like, go. And I've had it. And then by Sunday we have 3 offers. Yeah. So that's that's the goal. That's what you're striving for. So.
Right. And if you're new and seem like you are, the first few deals really need to be like that. Mm-hmm. The last thing you want is to make money mistakes. Right. So early when I said you're going to make a bunch of mistakes, I don't mean money mistakes. I just mean process mistakes and document mistakes and all that. But even then, if Jill's doing it, she wouldn't make any mistakes. That's just how it is.
That's hilarious. Oh, trust me, I make a lot of mistakes in other areas. But that's really funny. I was going to say, as a new person, you brought up a good point. As a new person, the number one thing I think you should be focused on are financial mistakes, which means you are so flippin' picky that you let 10 other deals pass off your desk because you were not 100% comfortable. And on the 11th one, you're like, oh, shoot, I'm an idiot if I don't do this one. Then that's the one you do, and you know you're going to be fine. Even though you make all the mistakes, you're still going to make money, and it's going to work out fine. And then you'll go back and look at those other 10 going, maybe I'll revive that one or revive that one or revive that one now that I know what I'm doing.
When have we never, give me a circumstance when in life we have looked back on something and say, oh my gosh, if I knew what I knew then, or if I knew what back then, if I know what I knew now.
All the time.
Every single deal. I mean, not every single thing in life.
Every day. Yeah.
Today's topic, Rethink Everything. 2025 strategies for smarter mailers, markets, and mindset. Let's take a few steps back. And this is designed on my part to make you feel great. Not bad.
Oh, good. Because I'm sure a lot of people are really worried, like, oh, no. I have a pen. I am ready to take notes.
Look, here's the big picture summary. Stuff changed.
Yeah.
And it's changing in this market. And the entire real estate market is very different. Interest rates are weird. I think the federal government's take on affordable housing and all kinds of stuff. There's weird stuff going on. And everything that goes on in that environment trickles down to land. And so I'm used to it. So let's take a few steps back and look at the market history in the late 20th century. So I want you to think about how people bought and sold land before everybody sets their hair on fire because there's some change. How people bought and sold land before the internet. This is what they did. They speculated. They made some guesses about where the properties are going to be worth more in a few years after they buy it. You know, some people would call that, make sure you buy land in the path of growth. That's not so important to us anymore. In fact, it doesn't even enter into our due diligence process. We're concerned about, can I use it with the 8As? Is it awesome? Can I use it? And I'm buying at a great price so I can resell it for more. But people went along just fine up until around 2005, let's just call it 2000, where the internet really kicked in and created this new thing. Mm-hmm. And this is what this new thing, buying and selling land from your desk, is what Jill and I, that's how we founded and why we founded Land Academy, because it makes it a lot easier, but it's changed.
Can I just add, I love what you just said. It used to be a long path. You would buy it and sit on, so you had to buy it really well, obviously, right? Because you knew you were going to sit on it for maybe 10 years. In the path of growth, you're like, I know the mall's coming. It's going to take that long. Or I knew the airport, and I knew this too. Actually, I know the airport's coming. I have lots of stories about LAX and the former location and all the land that I bought from people really cheap because they thought they were playing the correct long game. And now, the way you and I do it, it's like, I need to make money on it right now, today, in its current condition, which is a little bit harder, albeit a little bit better.
Today we're going to talk about history and what we're faced with, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about, for the rest of the week, what to do about it. Mm-hmm. In the 60s and 70s, way before the internet, people would go to find out who owned property. They would walk into the county, they would open a book, and they would look up the properties. It's just like a snail scenario. Look up the properties that they were interested in purchasing. Maybe they had inside information, like Jill just said, because there's an airport going there. For some reason, big laborious process, and they would hand write out letters to the people and say, give me a call, I really want to buy your property. And the people who are receiving those letters, just like now, have probably inherited the property, don't care about it, and responded very well. The response rate was crazy. You send out 10 letters and buy a few properties because no one was doing that. Mm-hmm. They blazed the path. There's a book about it called the Stevenson model with a PH, the Stevenson model or something like that. It's way out of print. I tried to buy the rights to it because it's so interesting. Without luck, it's gone down 2 generations now from the original author. So some stuff changes. The internet came in around 2000. All through the 90s, by the way, my business model was to go to tax sales during this time, go to an auction, a literal auction in person, buy a bunch of tax sale properties and resell them on eBay with huge success. A bunch of people found out about that. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people started showing up at these auctions. It was no longer feasible for me to implement that business model at the velocity and the profit margin that I was doing it. But did I say it's over? Did I run around with my hair on fire and say, I guess the party's over?
Right.
No, I didn't. What I did was I knocked around for a couple of weeks and figured out that I can go to the county, get a list of owners, and send them mail. And that's what I did from around 2000 to 2009 or 10. I was one of the first, if not the first person that I know of, at least in the Southwest, to go do that. And I made it a lot easier when I discovered RealQuest. So around 2004, RealQuest made it easy in kind of the form that we do it now. Download huge lists, manipulate them without the hell, the mental hell of buying a list from the county and taking it apart in a spreadsheet or in a relational database. So that change carried us to around 2009 when Jill and I joined forces, and that model had run its course. There was a time when I could send out 50 letters and buy 4 or 5 properties, good ones, and then still resell them on the internet, mostly on eBay with self-close. Did I run around and say my hair's on fire, it's over? No. In fact, what ended up happening is Jill looked at this as an outsider, looked at what I was doing, looked at how much money I was making, in the most politically correct way said, I don't think that this works anymore. And by the way, when's the last time you talked on the phone with anyone? You clearly haven't, and your database is awful, and a bunch of stuff. And she was completely right. And she retooled our business around 2009 and pushed us forward into a new direction, which is essentially what we have now. And we're changing it. And we want you to change along with us. Mm-hmm. She creates real estate deals. Right. She gets on the phone with somebody who may say, there's no way I'm selling my property to you. And 15 minutes later, they're talking about how much we're going to buy it for. What's the price?
Right.
There's a huge key component, as you'll see this whole week, about Jill's role in this.
Thank you.
Join us tomorrow where we discuss, is your 2024 playbook broken? Fix your mail, market, and mindset for 2025. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. We are Jack and Jill. Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.